हम भी जानते हैं।
तो दाल और भात कैसे के बसिसला
तो के बजे डाल रहा
बुझ गेल के तले से हल्दी बन के
तो बाद में पानी के खोल ले लो और ऊपर से पानी डाल लो डब्बा हल्दी मन के डाल लो तो डबका लो तेल छनका दे लो
छनका को और पानी डाल दिया।
क्या मनीष मनीष को पूछो मनीष ढेर खाना था
तुमको तो पता है। अभी स्टार्ट करना पापा।
हाँ
मजी खा खा। शरीर भी डाल रहा है।
कितना भात पकड़ी
1.5 गिलास
तुम तो ऐसे माम कभी नहीं खाए हैं।
मजा आया
हाँ। आप हमें सीखे।
सरकारी स्कूल जाकर खाते जो
कौन? हम।
मिलता है सरकारी स्कूल में
यही माम। हम ये माम नहीं खाते। यही माम रोज रोज पकाना ना।
तेरी मम्मी को बोलना रोज रोज पकाएंगे
नहीं आप भी पकाएंगे। पापा तो खुला है कल को पकाता है।
वो देखो गिर गिला
कोई दिक्कत नहीं
दो मेरा माँ
और है रे डबल कितना खावे
और माम खाएंगे।
गिर गिला
कहाँ? इधर है।
लग रहा है
बंदा गोभी मिलेगी
नहीं तो
आपको अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है? ये मेरा माँ सरकार है। हम इसको पकाना जानते हैं। ऑर्डर थोड़ा सा बच गया।
Good evening, Karan.
थोड़ा सा बचा है।
Let's wait for a few minutes. I think that teaching assistant is taking some extra time
शुरू
because the students are asking questions.
एमन
We'll wait for them to join.
इतना बेस मिल झलकी स्वामी का खोजत है नी दूधी को भाई हर मन है
हाँ बच में है।
अपन कोनो जगह अपन टोनर का लेके एक दिन जाता है
और खाएंगे। हाँ अच्छा माम है और खाएंगे।
Good evening.
दाग रहा है रे।
दुनियादारी के भाड़ में का
आप लोग को सरकारी स्कूल जा रहे तो ऐसे ही माम मिल रहा था।
हाँ बेटा हम खाएं
हमको नहीं मिल रहा था
हम खाएं बेटा
मम्मी का स्कूल जा रहे थे।
मम्मी तो प्राइवेट स्कूल जा रहे थे ना
मलिंगालोंग से जाना हल मिलेगा।
हाँ?
मलिंगालोंग से।
हम मलिंगा लोग का स्कूल जा रहे थे।
और आप
वो आपका स्कूल,
हम्म,
आपका स्कूल जा रहे थे।
तो क्या रखते हो स्कूल में तो इंग्लिश नहीं जानते।
तू
अरे कैसे इंग्लिश धर ले होना?
हम्म,
कैसे धर ले?
मैं तन तन देखते सुनते हैं।
चंचल हिंदी चंचल और चंचल जाते हैं।
नो बेटा नो।
मम्मी बोली थी ना हम चंचल स्कूल जाते हैं।
इंग्लिश मीडियम जोन, इंग्लिश मीडियम जाते थे
तब बता।
हम सरकारी।
इंग्लिश मीडियम तो हम
मीडियम
जाते
रंगना को नहीं देखो।
लोकल स्कूल थे।
प्राइवेट में।
मजा आ गया।
प्राइवेट स्कूल जा रहे थे। ए
क्या हुआ?
माम दे और कौन दे?
नहीं खत्म होगा बेटा, ढेर पकाए हैं, काहे ला तुम परेशान हो?
सरकारी स्कूल से जुड़ा है वो स्कूल।
सरकारी स्कूल का रेखिए लिखिस तो परीक्षा लिखे सरकारी स्कूल से तो।
तो सरकारी से जुड़ा है बहुत हो।
हाँ खाली मास्टर मन के पैसा नहीं मिले बस।
स्कूल का नाम क्या है? हाँ? स्कूल का नाम है पापा?
मिशन स्कूल है के प्राइवेट स्कूल है के, लेकिन सरकारी वाला मन से जुड़ल है। काले हाँ काले पैसा नहीं मिले। मिले रल सरकार बस से थोड़े बहुत।
हाँ थोड़े बहुत।
तो अथी वाला के नीचे कलीने हाई स्कूल बटे नहीं बिशप मन देवेला मास्टर मन के थोड़े बहुत।
लखो
हाँ वो कितना खाम हुई।
खाओ दिन मजा आ रहा ना उन्हें।
लो ना।
दे दो बेटा मम्मी को भी प्यार से।
मैं बोला रे
नहीं खत्म होगा और कल चुका मरियम। खाओ खाओ
मेरा हो गएगा।
मनीष और खाओगे मनीष का चलते खाती आघा लगना।
और मुझे प्यार दे दी ढेर बड़ा।
मम्मी सब कर रहा। तो स्कूल का नाम क्या है?
गवर्नमेंट
गवर्नमेंट
स्कूल रखना। गवर्नमेंट अपग्रेडेड हाई स्कूल
विलेज में
तेरा बाप कहाँ पढ़ा था बा? तेरा बाप कहाँ पढ़ रहा था?
तेरा बाप कहाँ पढ़ रहा था?
कुटमा में।
का कुटमा?
कुटमा गांव में।
कौन कुटमा गाँव?
वही बाजार जाते हैं, मेला जाते हैं गाँव।
तब वीडियो बनाते हैं हम लोग खाए के कम देखते हैं।
मम्मी सरकारी
नहीं देखते हैं।
विलेज नेम आपका।
खिचड़ी बनाना
मम्मी
चाहिए नहीं खाते
आपका
बेचते
मम्मी चुप रहो ना। अपना आपका स्कूल का विलेज नेम है। हाँ? आपका भी विलेज नेम। विलेज नेम है कि क्या नाम है?
ढेर गरीब है।
हम्म?
ये खुआ हर बना है देखा गे कि तू अच्छी डाइन है कहते।
हम तो आपका नाम
बनाएंगे ना टेंशन मत लो।
आपका मम्मी को हम नहीं देखे हैं। आप बोल रहे थे करना मेरा दादी ना आपका मम्मी है बोल रहे थे।
खाओ कल मरियम ऊपर से खाओ
Good evening, Vivek.
प्यार से।
मेरा नानी को देखने जाएगा कब?
प्यार से।
Evening, Ravinder.
डिप्टी टोली में है।
Is it a good time to get started? Is the TA session over?
का डीपीटी
Can I get a confirmation?
डिप्टी टोली में है।
Okay.
का गाँव करना डीपीटी तो ढेर लगी।
Okay. So,
हाँ?
डिप्टी टोली में
introduction to MongoDB. What a topic. We have been waiting for this topic for last few days because I wanted to give you the feel of
कॉलेज
a
में।
NoSQL database. But I
मम्मी
have
आप
been
कॉलेज
talking
में
about
जानते हैं?
a lot about NoSQL databases, but I have not given you the feel of a NoSQL database. So, what is MongoDB? No, Vivek, that's completely fine. I understand the TA session was taking some time. I remember, Vivek, you have asked me 2 questions and I have looked up those 2 questions. Like, I've seen the questions. I'll reply to them tomorrow morning. I just forgot about them before. Just when you message me, I come to realize you have asked me some questions. Don't worry, I'll reply to them. Okay. Yeah. MongoDB is a NoSQL database. That is true. And which type of NoSQL database is MongoDB?
वाह, खत्म।
আর খাবে
There are a bunch of types.
Uh,
Let me revise the types once. First is doc type. Second is key value. Third is maybe graph. Fourth is column wide. Wide. Sometimes there is also time series. Yeah, time series. So MongoDB is a document database. And these are the most general purpose databases that
और
you can
परीक्षा है, हल्ला मत कीजिए।
Sir, one question. Can you give one assignment? You give one assignment in first class, not that. I've done it. I want to show you whether the output is okay or not. Yes, Nilanjan. How can you show that to me on this platform? That is the reason why I was not. Okay, deepest. Okay. Yeah, please share that then. Or copy paste. Yeah, you can do that. Please show your result.
लगाओ।
I'm happy that you have solved the challenge. So those of you who don't remember, the challenge was to look up the files in a directory. Given a list of files, you have to check whether all of them are present in the directory or not. If they are not present, then you have to say no in front of them. Otherwise, you have to say yes. Something like that. You have to do. Let's see what Nilanjan has created. By the time Nilanjan is pasting his code, let me talk about MongoDB in a little more detail. Again, what are the benefits of having MongoDB? There are a bunch of benefits. Yes, scalability is the biggest benefit. So MongoDB has 3 benefits. First is scalability. Second is I'll call it availability. Or fault tolerance.
Thank you।
He is saving it in view doubt. Is doubt. Okay, wait a second. I just copy it from here. And I'll paste it in my Chrome window. Yeah, now I will share my screen and show. Nilanjan, I hope it's okay if I show your solution to everyone in the class. So here is the solution that Nilanjan thought about. First of all, he got the FS module, and then for each file name in the file names, he tries to get the file name, and there is a promise that he has written, which is if error happens, file present, otherwise you make file present as true and save it. So for each of the files, what you are doing is you are checking if file is present. If it is error, then you are saving false, otherwise you are saving true. Okay. Nilanjan, I have a question to you. When are you set? Okay, you again call the true function. Okay, that's okay. And then await the read file names and console log data. File name I catch error console log error. Okay.
ये हॉस्पिटल है का ये टंग 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 ऐसा होता है
This is this.
आर्टिस्ट बनेगा तुम रे।
जवान हो जाती डिक्टेशन बोलने से कि काय के तंग तंग
Finder file name.
ऐसा तो बाप रे
मम्मी इसको बजाने वाला है,
Okay.
ये बजाने
So
वाला
if there
है।
is a
के शादी कर ले पैसा जमा
if there is a this is then you print the data.
लंबा
Else you print. Yeah, that is good. I think this will work. So I'll stop sharing. This is correct. Now, yeah. So yes, sir. Sure. Zoom it a bit. Oh, you want to zoom it? Okay. Sure. I'm going to zoom it one more time. I was just checking the code. So here is the code. Yeah. So what is happening is this. There is a reject function and there is a response function. There is a there is a reject function and there is a response function for your promise. I would request you to name complete names instead of just res and rej. You should name it completely response and reject. Okay, when there is an error, the reject function is called. When there is when there is no error, then the response function is called. Whenever response function is called, data is sent here and console.log, you log the data. If there is a error, then the sketch block is called and the error is printed, which in this case is this. So this is a valid way of solving the problem. Is this making sense to you? Hello? Those of you? Those of you who have not solved this? Does this make sense? I'm very happy to see your code, Niranjan. Line number 8 you want answer. Okay. Line number 8, it is basically a call to fs.read file. This fs is a file system, I guess. This is a library in JavaScript which can let you read files, and this line is basically reading this file, and this is the promise. This is the function. This is the callback function that gets called once you read the file. If there is an error, something happens. If there is a data, something happens. So this is the read file function. Okay. Does that make sense? Line number 10. Line number 10 is from Ankit. Sir, once please run in VS Code. I'll run in VS Code. Just give me 1 second. Line number 10. Line number 10 is basically in the reject function. Whatever is the reject function for this promise, send this data. This is what this is doing. So if I were his place, I'll write it like rich. I cannot write it. Anyways, I'll copy paste this into my VS Code. Let me see if I can open VS Code. File, come on. Open folder and relevel CRM app, select folder. In this folder, this is the older CRM backend. This is the CRM app. In this revision of async, there was an assignment, and finder was the function. Okay, I'm going to paste the code here. I'm going to delete this finder function and this whole part I'm going to delete. Okay. Now this finder function is going to console log the data. Why is this crying? File names. Where is file names? Okay, this is not needed. Okay. Now this is going to print the data. So I'm going to just delete this part also. I'm going to save this like this, and I'm going to come here and do finder file names.
मेरे पास है अभी.
Just give me 1 second. Let me minimize this part. Okay, I'm going to come here. Sir, why double bracket inside reject and response? That is not needed. that is not needed actually. Let me see. Stop sharing. Share screen. And I want to share this assignment. I think I can do away with one of the double brackets. Sir, I've done double brackets in 2D array. Yeah. So you can do away with this double bracket. You can have just a single bracket here, and that also works fine. This will also work. I'm guessing. I think it will work. So this is not needed as such. Okay. I'll stop this. Right now this is fine, and this is the file names. Now for each file name, I'll have the name, whether it is present or not, whether it is truly present in the set or not. So I'll just save it, and I'm going to run this. What is the problem? No, some random problem. Run this one more time. Assignment invalid structure. Function and safe extension. Where is the problem? Line number 16. Line number 16. There's something written here, which I'm not sure what it is. Okay. Let's save this and run this one more time. Yeah. So the first file is true. This is present. The second file is true. It is also present. The third file is false because it is not present. So double brackets are not needed. Now, if you want to return this list, what you can do is, here is something you can do. You can define an array. I'll just call it let. Why is this? Wait a second. Let me just select. No, this is. There's some problem. This should go one tab forward. No. Tab.
नहीं बोलते क्या बोलना चाह रहे बोले
Control Z,
वेट
Control
नहीं
Z,
बोलते बेटा
tab,
बात सुनिएगा बोलते हैं
and now everything is fine. Okay. So now I'll come here and do tab, let. And that was not file directory error. I had selected something here. I had done control and space, and that actually created a problem in the VS Code. There was no file directory error. What key pressed for spacing? I pressed tab. I selected the code and pressed tab. Okay. Now I can define a result array, which is just an array. And instead of printing it, I can just come here and do result dot
रोज रहा है ना तुम दोनों
push, and I can send data to it. And here I can do the same thing. Result dot push error, and finally after this I can return result. And then I can come here and say I can do the previous code that I had written is present and print is yeah. I can print is present. Okay. Now if I run this, this is causing a problem. Is present is a promise. It's a async function. False is there. Result is this. Try. Everything inside the try block should go one tab forward. And this should come one step back. Now what is the problem? This should come one step back. Try is. And this should also go one step. is this tab, and this is inside the tab. So this is inside this tab. Mm, this is inside this tab. Now what you do is read file names on I. Data is this. Data gets saved here. Result dot push data. Result dot push data. And now I can just do return result. Seems to be correct. Save it. Run this one more time. Promise is pending. I can just do wait result. Save it and run this. Line number 31. Data is not getting access to this one. Why is that the case? Do I have any other data variable? Do I define data as let? Wait, file name.
क्या है
Mm,
मत कीजिए बेटा वो थी है सोई है
the data on line 31 is not getting access to data parameter in try block. This is the try block. This whole thing is try block. So I don't see a problem there.
हाँ मशीन कह रखो मशीन का है ये यहाँ का है ये दी वाला है दी वाला है ये रखो यहाँ का निकल जाएगा ना तो डाल देंगे
File names.
कहाँ रखा थी
Incident response officer file name.
इके रहे दी नहीं बेटा तो
ये आपका है ना किसको लाए थे
मनीष को
बहुत पीछे से
Sir, file name should come in place of file names. File name where read file names. Read file names should come in place of file names. No, that is okay. File names is a promise that is going to read this file and this is okay. Data is not used. Just give me 1 second. This is a question and response. I'm forgetting a little bit of JS.
अभी तो आया
Original. First few lines. These are the first few lines.
ये कारण
Synchronous programming. There should be FS. There should be FS promises. There should be FS promises. Wait a second. Let me check. Require FS promises. Why would that be? Promises. This one. No, that should not be the cause of the error. Okay, I'll run it. Just give me 1 second. Let me see. I don't think that's the error. That's not the case. That's not the error. Okay, so let me do it. So first of all, there's some problem with the definition. File names I comes here, and this should be this is the error. This should be the case. That's it. I don't need this promises. I just need a function call here. If I run this, file name's not a function. No, just give me 1 second. Read file names. Here's a promise. I await.
मेरा को मत डालना उसमें ना आपका को डालो मेरा को मत डालो
Sent. Let me save this.
इसको डाल देना
No, I just give me 1 second. This is a promise. I just need a way to read this promise. I forgot the way to read this promise. Dot.
ढेर फोटो है आधा को हटाना ना
Data read promise. Just give me 1 second. I think I can do it. If you give me if you give me 1 second to revise the sync as well, I should be able to do it. So I'll just do it like this. I'll remove this and I'll remove this also. All this is not needed. I'll remove this try also. This is also not needed. I'll just come here and instead of reject, of sending anything to reject, I can just do result dot push this, and I can come here. Yeah, exactly. So result dot push this, and now I'll save this and run this. Okay, sorry. I don't know. I'm lost in this. This just came out of somewhere, nowhere to me. So I'm going to stop this discussion for the time being, and then we'll come back to this after some time. Maybe tomorrow in the next class I'll discuss that, as many of you are saying it. Yeah, sure. Sorry for the error. No worries. Okay, sure. Hmm. Okay. I've solved this question, but I don't know why. I send you code later. Sure, we can optimize this. No worries, sir. If we can optimize this, then can share the code. Yeah. Okay. Sure. You can share the code later. Let's come back to the class. Yeah, I'll start in a second. I'm just. Is this just stopping me from? No. Resolve. Resolve. Resolve error. I know. Yeah. Okay, let's start. Let's get started. So we were at MongoDB. We are at MongoDB. Scalability. So there are two reasons. One is scalability. Second is fault tolerance. And the third reason is schema less. You don't have to design the schema before. Now this is virtue, and it's also good and bad. This is both good and bad, because if you don't have a schema, you don't know what kind of data you have. So if you have to do some kind of analytics, it might be a nightmare. So, and if you are running a very big application, you have to decide beforehand a lot of things. So you have to decide what will be the access pattern, how will you access the data, how will the data work out, and then you can. What is schemaless? Schemaless means there is no strict requirement of what you can save in a row in MongoDB. Okay, so it's not. I'm not going to tell you that in SQL, in relational databases, you have a table structure where there's maybe serial number, there's a name, and there's a roll number, and there's a subject. So you have to have this schema for every row that you insert. But here you can insert whatever document you wish to insert into the database. Okay, so that is why it is a schema-less database. Okay, so now we have also discussed scaling in detail. We have discussed what is vertical scaling, and what is horizontal scaling. The idea is you can have either a very big machine or you can have a bunch of small machines. And the limit is that you cannot have a very large, you cannot have a very large single machine, but you can have as many small machines as you want. That is the idea. What is availability and fault tolerance? That means if there is an error somewhere in the so what you can do is you can replicate the data set. Replicate the data set, and there are very good replication capabilities that are provided by MongoDB. So what happens is always there will be at least 1 or 2 copies that you can create of the data, and then if one of the server goes down, then you can access the data from the other server. That is fault tolerance and availability. Even if there is an error, there can be good you can still work with the data. So that is availability and fault tolerance. Also, all data have multiple copies. All data will not have. You can have multiple copies. There's a command called as replica set that you can run. Yeah, it can handle large amount of data without downtime. Sir, can you start from scratch MongoDB? I'm already starting from scratch, Vivek. This is just an overview of what MongoDB can provide. One is the fact that it is scalable, available, and schema-less. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. How we decide which one replica set, which one to replicate beforehand. Then you don't have to decide that beforehand. Even after some time, if you feel like this data set is important to me and I don't want to lose it, you can define a replica of that data set, and suddenly you have 2 copies of the data set. You are confusing availability. Replicate this thing. No worries. Let me explain 2 things to you, and then it will become simple, easy. So first is sharding. Sharding is, suppose I have a big set of data. Is it free? No, it is not free. It charges money, of course. But for big companies, it's not a problem. So you can run it on your own computer for free. There is a community edition in which you can use your own computer as a server, and that is free. But if you try to use a MongoDB Esther, which is a cloud service that MongoDB provides, then it will charge you some money. So suppose you have a big data set. It has a lot of documents in it. You can convert it into smaller databases, into smaller machines, and that is called as sharding. There will be pieces of this machine. Yeah, MongoDB Compass. I'm going to help you install this in just few minutes. Let me just clear out basic doubts first. Suppose this is a data set, you can divide it into 3 parts and save it on 3 different machines, and that is called as sharding. Then there is also replica set, which is if you have a data set, what you can do is you can this replica set. Are number of copies limited? No, there is at least minimum 3 copies you need. Minimum 3 copies are needed for replica set. Above that, you can decide how many copies you want. Of course, it will cost you. Yeah, replica set is a set of servers that have copies of each other. Suppose this is A, this is data set A. You can save A at 3 places in a replica set. Once you define a replica set, 3 copies of the data will be saved, or whatever number of copies you define. That many copies of the data will be saved. And then what will happen is write operation will go to the primary copy, and then the data which is updated on the primary copy will be communicated to the other 2 copies. So both of them can be updated. Okay, Hariharan, does that make sense? You are creating copies of the data. If you want to have another copy, there is just a single command that you have to run, and suddenly MongoDB will create another copy of the data. It will add one more replica in the replica set. It's same, yeah, it's the same copy. It's the same data, exact same data. Why do we need them? Suppose one of the server goes down. There was a hardware failure on one of the servers, Vishal. Then what will happen? If you have only one copy of the data, either your service will go down, or there will be bad data that you will serve. Okay. Does changes in yes, all the changes will go to the primary replica, and then they will be communicated back to. Yeah, it is expensive, of course. So you always choose 3 replicas only. You don't choose more than that. Okay. Yes. I mean, you can choose more replicas also, but to save cost, you can choose 3 replicas. Okay. That is good enough for most of the applications. So, example of which data to replicate, which not. Most of the data you should replicate. If production data is there, you can replicate. If some data for this is there, development environment data is there, dev environment data. That is some data you can you may want to not replicate. So if you have a so typically in companies, what will happen is there is a dev environment which is in the pipeline first, and then there is a production environment. Okay, in dev environment you test your application. There you may feel like you don't want to replicate the data, but production data you typically want to replicate. Okay, Abhijit? Okay. But dev environment also put on server. Yes, dev environment also is on the server. So it's okay if, so in big companies, it is on a server. Everything, even your own coding that you do is on a server. In a company like Amazon, what coding you do is also, you do it on a server. You connect to a server. You connect to a EC2 instance and then do your coding. You don't do anything on your laptop. Okay. Yeah. So replica set. And now Vivek, I want to ask you, if you have multiple copies of the data, can you always serve your client? It doesn't matter if one of the machines is down, you can still serve the clients, Vivek. So that is called as availability. That means your service is more available to people. Similarly, if one of the shards, which is, you remember sharding, I was dividing data into multiple chunks. If one of the shards is down, then at least you can serve the other 2 shards. Okay, so both sharding and replica set provides you additional availability. Okay, that's what availability is about. And this replica set is, which is better. Both, you typically combine both. You have to do sharding if you have lots of data, Aradhya, because you cannot save all the data in one machine. And then you also want to do replica set to safeguard your data in case of failure. So both of them are good. Of course, sharding is necessary. Replica set is something you can avoid. Cost effective is sharding. Yeah, if cost effective is sharding, but sharding will not save you. Yeah. Replicate and then sharding off. No, it's not like that, Aradhya. First you do sharding and then replication of each shard. It's not like replica and then sharding of each replica. That's not the way. For each of these will have copies of them. Okay. Can you explain sharding again? Yes, Naranya. Sharding is nothing but dividing the data into smaller chunks. Okay. So you have a data set somewhere, and you cannot save the whole table in one database. Sorry, database. I'm going to discuss database in more detail, but suppose you have a data set and then you want to not save it on one machine, you can divide it into multiple machines. We need at least one replica set, right? We cannot test otherwise. We cannot test otherwise. At least one replica set. We cannot test otherwise. What does that mean? Why do you want to test? Oh, yeah. Got it. You need two actually. You need two. Yeah, actually you need two, because if one of them is down, then you can check the majority and then decide. Okay. So therefore you need two replica sets, two replicas in a set after one is down. Test changes. Yes. Two replicas. So there are three replicas in this set. Minimum three is required. But if one of them is down, at least you will have two still running. And then one of them will become master and the other will become the slave. Okay. Which one of them will become the primary and writes will come to here. This and they will be replicated here. Okay. Vivek? But we have two copies. Yes, we have two copies. We have three copies of the data. One of that copy went down. The two are still remaining. Then what will happen is other copy replica. Not getting your question. I'll wait. You have three copies. One went down. The two are running. At this point, if you want to test if you are right or wrong, you want to make consensus between the two. That is what is happening here. That is what Archit is talking about. Anyways. So what are the advantages? Again, it is horizontally scalable, there is availability, it's reliable, and it has a schema less. All of those are advantages. Now let's do the actual stuff with NoSQL with DynamoDB and try to understand DynamoDB from the basics. Now I'm going to discuss the basics. So I'm going to compare. Vertical scaling is using buying a bigger machine. Suppose you have 1,000 people. 1,000 people are living in a town. One way is to have a very tall story building, which will have all 1,000 people living in there. Or you can have smaller houses where in each house there are say 10 people, and then you can have 100 houses like this. So this is called as horizontal scaling, and this is called as vertical scaling, having a big building or having a smaller buildings. Okay, Vivek? Similarly, if you have lots of data, you can have a very big server, very tall machine, or you can have very small machines which share the load of the data. This is horizontal scaling. Horizontal scaling is of course better because you can scale as much as you want. There is no limit to horizontal scaling as such. No practical limit to horizontal scaling. Vertical scaling, you cannot scale after a point. Okay. But the problem will occur is some of the data sets. Yeah. Some of the databases like RDBMS, limit is you cannot have 1,000. You cannot have 1,000,000 terabyte machine. Can you, Vivek? You cannot have 1,000,000 terabyte machine right now, and it will cost a lot of money. But you can have 1,000 machines, each of 100,000 terabyte. You can do this. You cannot do this. Does that make sense, Vivek? So that, and if this machine fails, then suddenly you are lost. But if half of these, 5% of these machines are failing, then also you have a huge amount of machines running on your server. 950 machines are still running, which is good. Okay. So that's the beauty of horizontal and vertical scaling. Now, Let's talk about relational database management systems. There's one place where vertical scaling is better. Uh, it is easier to do vertical scaling in case of relational databases. It's very difficult to do SQL based scale. You cannot do SQL based databases on horizontal scaling that easily. You have added difficulties of uh, it's very difficult to do sharding in case of relational databases. Okay, so it requires horizontal scaling requires a lot more management. Vertical scaling you don't require that much management because everything is on a single computer. Anyways, you have RDBMS and MongoDB. You have seen MySQL, so I'm going to take the example of MySQL. Okay, in MySQL, the highest class is database. The whole database. Database is a collection of what? Database is a collection of what? In MySQL, database is a collection of not data, tables. Exactly. Database is a collection of tables. Tables is a collection of rows. And each row has some columns. Yes. So this is MySQL. Now let's look at MongoDB. In MongoDB, you have database, which is again similar to the database of MySQL. Instead of tables, you have collections. What is a collection? Collection is a collection of documents. A bunch of so table is similar to collection. Collection is similar to tables of database. And the key property is a collection will contain similar types of documents. Okay. If a collection is for orders, then it will only contain documents of orders. It will not contain user documents. Okay. And a collection is a collection is a collection of documents. And each document is a JSON-like document. Documents are JSON documents. You can think of them as JSON. I'm going to discuss what exactly they are, but you can think of them as JSONs. You can think of documents to be JSON files. Okay, Joseph? JSON files. You have a bunch of JSON files stored as a collection. And these collections are stored in a database. A database can have multiple collections. Each collection will have similar kind of documents. Each document contains fields which are key value pairs. So that is the overall structure of MongoDB. I'll give you an example of a document. Collections of documents. I'm going to give you an example of a document and then I'll help you out understanding the collection of documents. Okay. Suppose this is a document. Name, Anshul, age 30, website, say Anshul, www.anshulyadav.com, and then hobbies and all, etc. Suppose this is that document you have. Then this is the user document. So there will be bunch of similar documents. There will be a document for Karan, there will be a document for Joseph, there will be a document for Likita. All of these documents will be saved in a collection called users. Suppose we are using a website. So a collection users will contain all these documents. And these documents have these three fields. And then this users document will be in a database for the application that we are using. Does this make sense, Karan? Is collection similar to table? Yes, yes, Karan. It is similar to the table in sense collection contains all each row is similar to a document. Each row is similar to a document, and collection contains a bunch of collected documents. So there are no rows and columns, unlike in yes, there are no rows. There is no table as such. Only collections of documents. Okay. Yes, Joseph. Joseph, is it clear? There are no rows and columns. There's only documents. Okay. So I'm going to show you some demo of this in few minutes. Are these written in objects having key value? Yes, exactly. They are written. They are written as objects. So what you have is an object which gets converted into a block BSON file, and that BSON file gets saved in DB. Okay, this is in your code. Whatever node object you are using, you can convert it into a BSON file, and that BSON file can get saved into DB. I'm going to tell you what BSON file is. It's very similar to JSON, but that's what is happening. Okay, you can directly save objects. You don't have to do. You don't have to convert them into rows and then save them. Okay, Nilanjan. Okay. Now let's spend some time talking about this BSON thing. What is this? You already know about JSON, and there's also BSON. BSON is a format. Yes, both of them are formats. And BSON is basically binary JSON. Binary JSON. Yeah, BSON is a format that is used in saving documents in DynamoDB. MongoDB. It is also used in Cassandra and other databases. And what happens is, basically the idea is you have the same structure as JSON. Basically the same structure. You have key and value pairs. BSON also have key and value pairs. But this JSON file is saved as a text file. Okay, so everything is converted into text and then saved. Whereas in BSON, the file is saved in binary format. Yeah, binary. The file is saved in binary encoding. Okay, 0 and 1. Exactly. So they do some extra compression on the JSON file. So this is a compressed format of JSON. Compressed format of JSON. So it will take lesser space. First of all, any advantage over? Yeah. So there are these advantages. First advantage is less space, less small size. I'll call it a small size. The smaller size. BSON has a smaller size. It supports. No. BSON. It typically takes a smaller size. If I'm not wrong, it takes a smaller size, but it is written here. It takes a smaller size. I'm not sure if I'm getting I'm getting two wrong data, so I'll not write this point. There are two different places which are saying, some is saying it is it's lightweight, but in the notes it is saying it's larger size. So I'm not sure what is the right answer. Let me check once. Just give me 1 second. Let me do a Google search. Is BSON file smaller than JSON? It's not mandated that BSON file also smaller than, but it is surely skips the records that are relevant. While in case of JSON, you need to parse. In the main reason using, yeah, I mean, it's typically smaller, but not always. So I'll just create an asterisk in front of it. It is typically smaller. The second point is it's easy to search. Basin means binary JSON, binary JavaScript object notation, binary JavaScript object notation. This is Bison. This is another file format. What he does, it is a format in which you can save data. Just like in JSON you can save data, Bison would be Bison would be a good name. Example, I'll show you examples, Joseph. I'll show you some examples of JSON. Um, just give me 1 second. I'll just show it to you on internet itself instead of showing you on MongoDB. Bison file example. Example, explaining Bison with examples. This is an example of Bison file. Hello world is saved like this. Okay. This is the Bison file for hello world. Okay. Oh, you want to zoom? Okay, I'll zoom. This is how the document for hello world. Hello is the key and world is the value, and this is the Bison file. Bison file. Okay. Happy? Yes. Joseph, are you happy? This is like object. Yeah, this is exactly object. You want to see it once again? Okay, I'll show it to you. Lost internet. So this is an example of Bison file. Hello world in JSON gets converted into these digits. Ignore these comments right now. Okay. These comments are not required, but this is this text here is what will be the binary notation in case of Bison file. Okay. X is for hexadecimal. When you write numbers as hexadecimal, you start them with an X. Therefore, it is called as hexadecimal. Yeah. So, anyways, that's how binary JSON file. For all intents purposes, you can think of Bison as same as JSON. There are some more extra data types that it provides. Easy to use, easy to store. It is easy to store. It provides two more data types. One is date, and the other is binary data. We can save binary data also in Bison file, and it is easy to search. Like it helps in searching. So when you do indexing on the database, it is easier to do indexing with Bison file as compared to JSON file. So all these reasons, Bison is used as the file format in. How? I don't know about that. Yeah, I just know that it is easier. Maybe there are some optimization algorithms that are used. Why it is not in key value? It is in key value, Likita. Third point. Date and binary data are two more data types that are available in Bison file. Okay. Likhit. Okay, Likhit. Oh, sorry. Your name is Likhit. There was a Likhita. There was a girl in my class whose name was Likhita. So I'm sorry, Likhit. Why it is not in key value? It is in key value, but it is in key value, Likhit. But actually, it's in binary, so you cannot see the key value. So there are some text here, which is this is hello, which is the key, and world, which is the value. So when computer reads it, it can read it as key value. When we read it, it is not looking. It is not looking like key value. Okay, Likhit? Okay. So that's Bison file. So there you can use DynamoDB in any of those any of the applications. There are a bunch of applications that use DynamoDB. One is your Aadhaar. You know Aadhaar UPI that you use. Sorry, UD UIDAI Union. Yeah, no UIDAI. Yeah, UIDAI. There was an organization which is responsible for Aadhaar card. It uses MongoDB as the database. Also, eBay uses it, and there is MetLife, which is basically employee benefits organization. They typically use MongoDB. There are a bunch of more. Data, our personal information that we have on the data. So you have a Aadhaar card, all that information is saved in. So where they store, they typically store it. Yes, Nilanjan. Okay, Himanshu, one example that typically, what about Redis? Redis is also used by a bunch of organizations. I'm not sure, I'm not remembering. So whenever you have caching, people use Redis. You can combine Redis with MongoDB as well, if that is the question. I'm still guessing the question. Ankit, do you want to ask a little longer question? It's really important to know low-level design. Yeah, it's Deepak. One thing is for sure that development. If you want to learn development, then low-level design and high-level design are very important. And by the way, who was the person who wrote about Chat GPT last time in the last class? I'm forgetting your name. It was Archit or Arpit or Archit. Archit was the guy who wrote it. I have been hooked to Chat GPT since morning. In the morning, I started using it, and I have not left I have not spent 1 minute away from it. I'm constantly. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. When I was in school, I used to ask a lot of questions in my classes. Even today, if I attend a class, I ask a lot of questions. Whenever I have a doubt, I just ask the instructor. And when I first started using ChatGPT, it was like a childhood dream that came true. Suddenly, a tool has all the answers to all the questions that I can ask. So yeah, ChatGPT has been phenomenal for me. I've been using it for understanding all the things that uh, ChatGPT. So I'm using it to understand all the things that I ever had questions about. It's not 100% accurate, but then teachers are also not 100% accurate. If you're not sure about something, you can check it on the internet. Also, uh, one thing is that you don't also need to be 100% accurate. You just need to understand the key points on the key details. If they're not way off the center, then it's okay. So I just love it. Yeah, definitely replace Google for yeah, exactly, Archit. It has also replaced. I'm thinking Google will go obsolete very soon with this kind of application, or they might develop their own Chat GPT. Anyways, it's also open source, so Google can get the data. Google can get the models also. Anyways, let's take a short break. When you come back from the break, I'll show you the answer to the question that we were stuck on, and also I'm going to help you. Yeah, I'm going to help you out in installing MongoDB, and we'll run some commands on that. Okay. See you after the break. We'll have a break for 18 minutes. We'll see you back at 35. Okay. 9:35 p.m. Break till. Okay. Break till 9:35 p.m. See you at 9:35. Bye. Okay.